views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody. It is so great. It's so great to be connecting with you. I am so thrilled to be introducing again, but really kicking it up, talking about the Chip Justice Show. You know, positive changes for a life you'll love. Now, here's the thing. You know, one of the things I love is that, you know, as I step around and I take this journey myself, I am so thrilled and honored that I get to work with some of the most incredible people on the planet. And what's really cool about this, because this is part of our conversation today, who's the boss? You know, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. This is a topic that Chip Justice is bringing to the forefront. And it's been really, really cool for me, you know, to meet Chip months ago, to really work with him one-on-one as he does with people all over the globe, and to watch how things change, get revealed, and then change again, get revealed, and then change again. But there is something here that we've not talked about, which is part of the conversation today. Who is the boss? Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk with you and give you a big, long spiel about who he is. Here's what I want to say. I would like us to talk about Chip for a minute. He and I. When I think about his service in life, his work with the military, his coaching, his consulting, the way he has traveled the world, and now what he had to step beyond to even say yes to taking his message out into the world through this radio video medium. And this is what excites me today. Chip, it's so great to be connecting with you. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Pat. Thanks a bunch. It's great to see you. Love working with you every month. It's so fun.
Isn't it fun?
Oh, it's so great. And, you know, you've talked about all of the things that I've done. And I've been doing a lot of reflection and soul searching and thinking about this very topic over the last week. Or really much more than the last week. But let's just say the last week. You know, and there's so many people when I talk to about the future and what does it mean to go learn? And it means different today, it means different things today than it did even 10, 15, 20 years ago. You know, we've got to the core, the standardized testing in schools nowadays. A lot of people are questioning, is that even learning? You know, that's just simply spewing out facts or supposed facts, depending on who wrote the book. You know, that's all part of the learning. When I talk about believing half of what you see and none of what you hear, it means to go out and find out what that answer is. You know, don't just take somebody's word that that's the answer. Go out and do your own research, do your own homework. You live life to the fullest when you go out and you actually learn what it means to find the answer, to find a solution. And you take a little bit more pride in yourself.
Yeah.
Because you figured it out. And really, there's not much you can't, especially with the Google nowadays, there is very little that you can't figure out. You know, had I had YouTube whenever I was a kid, wow. I think I would know 100 times more than I do now. And that's what today's message is really, really all about.
I love it.
Yeah.
I not only do I love the message, but I love getting to know you. And what I really find so fascinating and cool in the world is that we often talk about people, Chip, now as people that in corporate environments, and greed motivates them. And I have to tell you, meeting you, you are a really nice guy. And I mean, I say that very, very consciously, because we don't stop and say that enough. We don't stop and say, wow, you're intelligent, you have a great personality, you're on a passion, you're taking a message out in the world, and you really do mean what you say. I mean, you are showing up as that thing that you teach. And that's what I love about this. Today's show is, around Who's the Boss, is a direct reflection of why we do radio in the way we do. Because it's not really about me coming on here every day or you coming on here every day and just telling people what we think. It's bringing the community of opinions together so that people can choose, isn't it?
Absolutely. And our technology nowadays, it's going in that direction with everything that we do. It started off, I would say, really becoming ingrained, not necessarily ingrained, but being part of our learning effort. The technology was with Wikipedia, and we did away with the Encyclopedia Britannica. And the Wikipedia is something that it's open to anyone and everyone to create, to define the meaning of, let's say, the word president or whatever word it is. It's open for everyone to define collectively what that word means. And that's that social development, that social structure, that collective reasoning and collective gathering that we also deeply desire.
Yeah. Now, last month we talked about being safe, and I love that conversation. I really did love that conversation, because really what it pointed to is some of the things we're not talking about in our society, right? But there is sort of the, next level of conversation we have around this today, when we're looking at and asking who's the boss. I don't know about you, but many, many people grew up in an environment, where you can't. And I'm just going to say this, and I want you to take this and run with it. I remember being, I don't know, I had to be maybe, what is junior high school when you're done? We had junior high school in the Bronx, but whatever that was, we were all getting ready to go to high school, right? And right. I remember us sitting around a table, my relatives, my stepmom, my dad, all, my Italian relatives around the table. and my sister Joyce was going to go to school, be a secretary, right? Right. And then here I was, and I was like, no. I want to go study music. I want to go to Christopher Columbus High School. And, all of these folks around the table, my dad's like, nope. Why are you going to do that? What is that even about? And I remember my stepmom jumping in and saying to my dad, and I got to tell you, my stepmom had a lot of pull. When that woman opened up her mouth, you backed up. And she said, you know what? We're going to let her do what she wants to do. And I never forgot that conversation, because how do we believe in ourselves, right? Despite what other people may believe in us, Chip. It's always easy to believe in ourselves like we're all hugging each other, right? We just have a big old hug party. But what about believing in ourselves despite that?
The hardest thing that we hear growing up really is the word no. We hear it time and time again. Growing up in junior high school, no, you can't go out and play in the woods, until eventually the mother gets tired of listening to you, and then go play in the woods. It's that sense of adventure that we talk about. And last month I talked about being safe. Mm-hmm. Being safe and taking the risk. To be safe means that you understand that things are scary, that the world is really, really scary, but you're willing to take a little bit of a risk and try something awesome. Because when you complete that awesome feeling, you are going to be so filled with emotions and understanding that you can take on any challenge that you want. That risk it's all about being ready to implement this safety and knowledge. And if you spell out risk, that's really what it means. It's understanding what's in front of you, what's beside you, what's around you, being aware of the now, being realistic and wholehearted, understanding who supports you, what's part of your support base, finding those people that do tell you yes, not the ones that tell you no. It's those people that are going to help you challenge yourself. If you want to, if you can do anything you really want to do. And I don't want to talk bad about anyone and point anything out, because if somebody is happy flipping burgers at McDonald's 7 days a week, I'm happy for them.
Yeah, let me tell you something. The best job I ever had, you ready?
Right.
Best job I ever had was selling hot dogs from a hot dog cart.
I remember I was talking about this before.
Except for this job. I mean, I love this job. But these two jobs have a lot in common, right?
Oh, yeah. Right.
I got to meet people that I got to know on a regular basis, their family, have conversations with them. I knew every kind of hot dog you possibly want, what to throw on there. But I didn't do that without mistakes. It wasn't like I could remember everybody at first, who they were, their name. I mean, honestly, give somebody a hot dog that's supposed to have sauerkraut on it, doesn't have sauerkraut, but got those onions in that red sauce, and you find out what happens. When we come back from break, I want to talk to you about mistakes. How do we believe in ourselves, and especially after we've stepped in a few potholes? I don't know about you, Chip. Yeah. I've made a few mistakes. We're going to take a short break. Chip Justice Show. Who's the boss? Applesauce. No, he didn't say that. I said that. We'll be right back, everybody.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthisfunny.com.
Transformation Talk Radio is dedicated to the education and awareness of Lyme disease.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lyme Talk Radio. I'm Dr. Pat, joined here by
Dr. Nusheen Darvish.
Dr. Pat Basili and Dr. Nusheen Darvish will be bringing the most innovative, groundbreaking information, research, treatment innovations, and stories from those it affects every day.
I'm so excited to be talking about this.
We have so much to share.
Dr. Darvish and I are planning to do is connect the dots.
People suffering with all sorts of chronic diseases, it's time. It is time for them to transform.
Tune into Lyme Talk Radio and help keep our mission strong.
For the loyal listeners out there that have been listening to this incredible show on Lyme disease, we are not going to let you down. We're going to come through stronger and enrich the platform for Lyme disease awareness through Lyme Talk Radio. The message will continue, the conversations will become stronger, and the healing epic.
Are you feeling broken from your relationships? Are you second-guessing yourself about friends, family, and lovers? Tune in to the hit show that's creating a buzz in the love-seeking community. Love Seeker Radio, finding love for your authentic self with renowned love coach Heather Lynn. Tired of dissatisfying relationships? Kiss them goodbye and power up your love seeker energy. Coach Heather Lynn reminds you that you can just be you, the beautiful and perfect you. Visit heatherlynncoaching.com to learn more.
The doctor is in. Tune in to the hit show, The Psychic Love Doctor, with host Deborah Lee. Deborah's life-affirming, highly perceptive reading method has taught Deborah how to zero in on specific problems with relationships, career pursuits, and current roadblocks to success and happiness. Join Deborah Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, and for a special broadcast the second Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Naturopathic doctor, founder of the Martha's Vineyard Holistic Retreat, and author of the New York Times bestseller 21 Pounds in 21 Days, Dr. Ronnie DeLuce has helped tens of thousands of people, including celebrities and athletes, with her message of lifestyle change. Now Dr. Ronnie DeLuce wants to help you. You too can be saved. Email Dr. Ronnie DeLuce at info@ronniedeluceonradio.com and visit mvholisticretreat.com. Dr. Ronnie DeLuce, your partner in wellness.
Oh, thanks, Benny.
Yeah, nice, Benny. Very cool.
Very good.
Mm-hmm. Chip and Pat here. That's what we're doing.
We're having fun here.
We're having fun here. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Before we start to talk about, what does it mean to make mistakes? And, Chip's going to take us on a journey about what does it mean to question everything. Before we jump into that, what is the best way for people to find out more about you? And actually, they can start to take a sneak peek at the new website.
Yeah, more than a sneak peek. I'm just going to go ahead and call it. We're going to say it's the official rollout.
All right.
ChipJustice.com. In fact, the old website, the Positive Change Institute.co, it's still there. You're just redirected to ChipJustice.com, the one and only place for all things Chip Justice.
I love it. It's very cool. Oh, my gosh. That is so cool. And, we have so much dang fun. I mean, it's like, wow, you got to pinch me. Hey, I wanted to say to everybody out there, if you've got a question for Chip, if you got a question for me, give us a shout. We have a toll-free number, 1-800-930-2819. But you know what? If you don't want to call in because you're driving, and do not try to dial the phone, okay, when you're driving a car. Don't do that.
Yeah, not even the audio version.
Yeah, give us the audio version of that. For those of you that are, sitting and listening, you can go to transformationtalkradio.com and type your question in right there. All right, Chip,
yes.
Let's talk about mistakes and questioning everything, including ourselves.
Well, this is something that I think that you and I know quite a bit about, as well as probably do most of people. Making mistakes, it's something that we do. It's part of our DNA. We're humans. We're going to make mistakes. How you react, how you respond to the outcome, that really defines how you work with that mistake, how you deal with the instability of today's world. There is hardly anything today that we know, matter of fact, this is absolute going to happen. And so you have to be able to understand that you could potentially make some mistakes along the way trying to figure things out. I'm reminded of a quote from Michael Jordan. And he says, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot short and missed.
Wow.
I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that's why I succeeded. That's the power of failure. It's what you need to succeed. If you talk about to Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, or anybody else, why did they succeed? It's because they took a risk and they weren't willing, they were understanding that failure was okay. Now, they weren't willing to accept failure.
Right.
But they were understanding that failure is, in a way, good. Because if you don't have failure, you can't take corrective steps, corrective methods or actions, because you're not going to have the same outcome each and every time. I mean, we're not computers yet.
Right. Well, part of what you talk about is questioning everything. And to really look at what that means, how does questioning everything help us learn? And, when you step out into the world, we've gotten so busy that we're not really trained much anymore to question everything. What we're trained to do is continue to deliver and provide results. And so how do you help people, balance that energy of, wait a minute, I'm going to ask a question, but wait a minute, I really have to provide a result.
Right. There are several times when the result, it's a must. You have to deliver, especially if you're going to work nowadays. You can't just show up at work and collect a paycheck. You have to deliver something of value. And as we move forward with technology, we are creating more and more data. Every single thing that you do creates data. And I don't know if you know this or not, Pat, but even when you're sleeping, you're creating data. And here's how I can tell you this. Because you have a cell phone and it sits in place for the 8 hours or whatever you're asleep. And what's the first thing that most people do with the cell phone nowadays when they get out of bed? They grab their phone because they're turning their alarm off within their phone. So their phone generates more data because, believe it or not, while you were sleeping that 8 hours, you were generating data even though it was really no data. The data was telling us that you were dormant, that you don't use the internet during this time. And that's how you start to learn about the customer. And believe it or not, this data, it's actually making us more human. It's giving us more understanding of communication, because in today's world, we have such a hard time communicating. We don't like to communicate we're not communicating effectively because we didn't necessarily learn what we needed in school to succeed in today's life. And that's part of where I talk about learning, and we'll talk about later after the next break, of what does that learning look like in the future so you can succeed. And there's no reason why you can't succeed developing your own path, because in fact, that's really what success is all about. It is going down your own path. It's not taking the road that everybody else takes. It's desiring to question everything. Now, you don't necessarily want to question an authority, especially when they're pulling you over at 2:00 in the morning and they're shining a light in your face. That's not necessarily the best time to question authority. But it's that desire to learn is why we question everything. When somebody says, this is the way that you do it, why don't you ask why? Because once you understand why you do it, maybe there's a better way, a faster way, a different way. That's even kind of what we're going to talk about later with respect to learning, because we're all different. We have to understand that we communicate differently, we learn differently. We have this thing called visualization learning now, and visualization databases, and so many other things that are visually oriented. Previously, back in the day, we only had radio. Then came television. Then came the internet. Now we have radio TV that we're talking on right now.
Exactly.
Over the internet. I mean, these are all things that it's part of that tool that we use to question everything.
I love what you're talking about. Let me tell you why. I love this. Here's what I'm really relating to on this. We have gone, I'd say for about the past 10 of the 13 years I've been doing that, is we would ask our radio networks, would you do this? Could you do this? Why don't you change your website to do this? Would be great if we could do this. How about developing an app? How about doing this? And I will tell you, almost every time the answers back to us was great idea, but we actually really can't do that. Now, what I've learned is, the reason that folks are not able to do things is because they are not the boss. There's a boss and a boss's boss and boss.
That's right.
In the world of radio right now, we have conglomerates of bosses. But what is happening in radio that's actually not working in traditional radio, unlike what we're doing here today? What's not working is the old format of radio is not working. Right. Why isn't it working? Well, we stopped asking the question, who's really listening and what do they actually want to listen to? Boom. And out of the gate is, wow, 143 million people listen to podcasts, right?
Oh, yeah.
Women, moms over 35, 90% of them have smartphones, and they take them with them and they listen. But we cannot make that adjustment in this field because it's part of decision makers that can't do it, but you and I can. So all of the questions, Chip, that we've ever asked networks to do, and they've not either been able to do or willing to do, we are rolling it all together and we're building it. And why? Because we ask the question, can we build it? Can we create it? And you get a bunch of people around and they're like, why not? And so here we go off with an idea. When we come back, we're going to talk about the thing I'm talking about that Chip's talking about, technology. There's a punchline to this. How are we building it? What does it even look like? And what has Chip learned about technology that is not the, how should we say it, the downer that most people talk about? When we come back, are you ready to get fired up about who's the boss, applesauce, and who's not? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in to Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Calling all dreamers. Are you living your dream life? Actualize your possibilities with Life Coaching Radio and your host, Deb Stetzer. If you're feeling stuck in a rut, Deb is here to help you turn your dreams into a reality. Life Coaching Radio. Dream it, live it, be it. To learn more about Deb, visit www.mylifecoach.us.
Do you want the freedom to spend more time with your loved ones? Travel the world? Live spontaneously? Get ready, because the Chip Justice Show is here. Hosts Dr. Pat Baccili and Chip Justice can help you build meaningful success while embracing life. Living a life you love is the end game in this new, inspirational, and empowering show. Positive changes for a life you'll love. Tune in every month on TransformationTalkRadio.com and visit PositiveChangeInstitute.co for more information.
Tune in to the Angels and Answers Psychic Radio Show with clairvoyants Artie Hoffman and Sky Siegel every Thursday for a 2-hour show, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio. Artie and Sky deliver spiritual and motivational messages with passion and a sense of humor. Call in 800-930-2819 for live and on-air readings. Visit artiehoffman.com and skyofangels.com.
My dream is to end homelessness.
My passion is living a green life.
My dream is to end poverty.
My passion is volunteering.
My passion is making a difference.
My dream is to cure Lyme disease.
My passion is rebuilding communities.
My passion is helping those in need.
My passion is caring for the elderly.
My dream is to find a cure for cancer.
My dream is to leave a better world for my children.
We all have that special passion, that lifelong dream that drives us to live our lives with meaning and to create a better world. No matter what drives you, we can all make an impact. Dr. Pat Baccili is helping others make their dreams come true, so we can all help make our world a better world.
To learn more about how Dr. Pat is building a community of sharing hope, strength, funds, knowledge, and information, visit abetterworldcrowdfunding.com today. That's abetterworldcrowdfunding.com.
Marinzo to ebeba ukoloba nini yo bandeko okokiko sala nani yakokotela ngayo yo bandeko nazalina kamararete.
Gotta love that.
Wow, my gosh, Chip, isn't it cool? So Chip, you get to say it. Hey, what's the best way for people to find out more about you, Chip?
Hey, what's the best way to find out more about you, Chip? No, just kidding. ChipJustice.com. That's the best way to find out more about me.
Boom.
And I'm on other forms of media out there, and all you have to do is do a little Google search for Chip Justice, and you'll find all those other advertisements out there and other types of media as well. But today we want to talk a little bit more about the technology, I believe.
Yeah. Who's the boss?
Yeah. Well, hopefully during this next 2 minutes, I am actually. Yeah, that's part of technology that we sometimes don't realize is that it really is the boss. And the reason why I say that, it kind of goes to something that we've been talking about on and off the air, Pat, is that we are becoming a data-driven society. Everything that we do creates data, and then that data, in turn, tells us something. It tells us about our customers. It tells us about our friends. It tells us about our spouses. It tells us even when to feed our animals. You know, this is what technology has started to create, and it's becoming even more and more. You know, I talk about all of this data, and it's kind of ironic. I wrote an article on LinkedIn this morning, and I talked about how even we're growing in business, and these are all businesses. As businesses grow, they start bringing in more and more technology. Why? Because we are becoming a data-driven society. Everything that we do generates data, and we are going leaps and bounds in this technological direction of the singularity, and that's even more data. Have you even heard about the singularity, Pat? Are you familiar with that? And
no,
probably,
I'm just going to have you take it away. I'm listening.
Very good. Well, the singularity. And Ray Kurzweil, and there's a whole host of other futurists and technologists out there, which I'm part of, that talks about the future and the singularity of 2045. And that's going to be, for some people, the scariest thing on earth. We talked a little bit about taking a risk and how it's safe in order to take a risk. Well, it's also safe to take a risk with technology because it's making us more human, believe it or not. We're not necessarily going to be putting robotics in us, at least not overnight, but we're developing these new technologies, these things called nanobots. And these nanobots are going to go into our blood, and they can stimulate our brain so we can think everything is funny, even when nothing is funny, if we so want to do. Now, you might wonder why we would do that, and really that's a lot of the experimentation going on now with technology. We're mapping out the brain. We are realizing how we learn. We are learning a glimpse into our own future by realizing how we're going to learn differently and what it means. And all of this technology, it just builds and builds and builds upon itself. It's more data. And all of this data, it piles up. You kind of will wonder as we go, what are we going to do with all this data? How is it going to be useful? Well, in the future, we're going to have what's called natural query language, meaning it's going to be just like we're talking right now. And I ask the Google or anything else or Siri or whatever a question, and it can naturally understand what I was saying. And it might even respond with, hey, Pat, I don't know that answer right now. Let me go do a little bit more research and I'll get back to you. And then 2 weeks later, we're having a conversation again, and your favorite Google or Siri or whatever application comes back to you and lets you know, hey, you remember what we were talking about 2 weeks ago? Well, here is a new piece of evidence that just came out 2 minutes ago from MIT on this very topic. You know, this is the type of information that we're going to have access to in the future. It's going to be not just spontaneous, but it's going to be spontaneously predictive, so that way we can have multiple realities and multiple worlds. You know, and the reason why I say that, let's look at Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook is just really an extension of you and who you are. It's data in another format. Now, just because you're not there, does that mean that that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
You're having conversations that take place with another person when you're not there. I mean, again, that's all part of you. It's just an extension of you.
Isn't that fascinating, though?
Oh.
I mean, when we think about it, I mean, I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Let me ask myself that question. Is what he said just true there? Yeah, it absolutely is. But it's incredible that it brings people together around an issue. I was telling you during the break that our new technology, phase 1 will not have voice recognition, but phase 2 will. Where you and I are talking about, maybe we're talking about, the latest cure for cancer that we heard. And you know what? In fact, I was talking about ozone therapy about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I was just talking about my experience with it. And I mentioned what I use it for and how I drink water that, has ozone gas in it and so forth and so on. I got an email back from somebody who literally looked it up themselves, went out and got an ozone generator machine. They're about $100.
Right.
And emails me back about, you're not going to believe this. I started to use this about 3 weeks ago. My doctor is astonished with what it's doing. Now, I didn't say this is a cure for it. I didn't say this is what you do. I was just sharing my experience with something that sounds like it's from Star Trek, the movie. And then what that led them to is to Google it, to find the doctor that was the expert, to find the statistics on it, and now come full circle. I think it was about 5 weeks ago. And here we are. That's a form, I think, of what you're talking about, isn't it? About how we can learn through technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just one of many. I mean, so technology doubles in size every 18 months. And it also becomes about half the size in every 18 months. If it doubles, it could also become half the same amount of size. There's a whole bunch of physics into that, but let's go with the pretense that it doubles every 18 months. Or actually, I want to go with the pretense that it goes to half the size every 18 months. At some point in time, it's going to be that same amount of data will all fit on the top of my pin. What fits on a thumb drive today will fit on the top of a pin tomorrow. Well, all of that data in tomorrow can go into your bloodstream, and it can integrate with your DNA. And it can now make you, I would say, more human because it integrates you with whether it's Facebook or whatever the application. It keeps you more aware, and so you're not tied down to a desk or that you have to log into a computer, because believe it or not, this also applies to wireless technologies. Your cell phones today, you're going to be able to put those in the future, and we're not talking too far in the future.
Right.
They're going to get down to the size of these things called nanobots, and they're going to go in your blood, and you won't even need to do anything but think about how that you want to connect to the internet. That's really how seamless it's going to be in the very, very near future.
I love what you're talking about. We met a young woman a couple years ago who was working on Lyme disease, a cure for Lyme. A very young woman, did an internship in a lab. Well, the lab was all about nanotechnology, right? So she goes in because her mom was sick and decides, I'm going to take a look at this and see if we can look at the vibration or the frequency of the co-infections of Lyme disease. So she goes in and she's looking at the frequencies and comes up with these little nanobots that, if programmed, they can go in and specifically attack that frequency. And all of a sudden she gets an award and off she goes. Because it's from the mind, Chip. What we're talking about is technology is one thing, but asking the question is what got her there. Isn't that's what you're
Correct.
saying?
Yes.
You got to bring them together.
Yeah, and it's we as humans, we have, and you've probably heard it in Star Trek and the dialogues going on there. We are explorers by nature. I mean, Christopher Columbus and so many others who've explored and settled new lands. Well, I never ever thought I would see the day where we're going to explore Mars. And you might not know this, but we already have a fleet of robots. That's right. I said a fleet of robots already on Mars. and exist there today. That's part of this learning that we're doing. It's continuously trying to stretch our new ideas, and this even goes to the essence of who we are as people. Because whenever I talk to people who have traveled abroad, who have traveled to foreign lands to see different things, they become more aware. And when I talk to CEOs and CFOs and other C-level executives of agencies and organizations, and I talk to them about what is probably one of the most important things that they are trying to get across, and most of the time it's that they want those people to be aware. They want people to be aware of the interactions, the touch points that they have the capability of utilizing, because we do define our own future. We get to define what it is that we want to be. And if we don't challenge who we are, how do we get to define who we want to be?
Oh, man, exactly. Now, I want to take a minute and just let folks know how they can work with you directly. I know that there are a couple things that we can do right now. You have a free 1-hour discovery session that we can give away right now for somebody. Hey, first caller, 1-800-930-2819. This is a biggie. 1-800-930-2819. We would like to go ahead and do that. And so let's do that. But the other thing I want to talk about is, you've stepped out in a different way, and, you're working with people, whether it's organizations or one-on-one coaching, and you have a coaching model. What is your experience in people's willingness to change? What have you seen recently? Hold that thought for when we come back from break, and then we have a special segment from Chip. Are we willing? Are we willing to change? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Just to get you to wear my wedding ring. Now I'm having second thoughts, and I'm writing you this letter. I'm scared to tell you to your face.
Enlightening, humorous, and compassionate. Listen live to The Kelly Ballard Show, insight and inspiration from the great beyond. Kelly is a fourth-generation medium and intuitive who covers topics ranging from grief, spirit guides, and listening to your intuition. Kelly can help you get answers and guidance from the other side with a little bit of humor and a lot of healing. Tune in to The Kelly Ballard Show, Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Time here on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
You got attitude? Keys to the rescue. Adjust your attitude with Keys Clear Protein Waters. So refreshing. Just a few sips of Keys will give you a whole new outlook, thanks to 22 grams of the happiest protein on earth. Tongue-tingling tasty without the guilt of naughty or nasty ingredients. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, maybe you need to drink too. Put a little woohoo in your attitude with Keys Protein Water. On Amazon or at Keys, Kees, please.com.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Do you know how to achieve wellness in all areas of your life? Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. Signs of wellness are a capacity to love and ability to nurture, a sense of purpose, a good sense of humor and plenty of fun in your life, a concern for others and a respect for the environment, a conscious commitment to personal excellence, a sense of balance and integrated lifestyle, and capacity to cope with whatever life presents. Well people enjoy their lives and want them to last as long as possible. That's why the wellness mindset usually accompanies body's other constructive, healthy lifestyle habits. By adopting a wellness mindset and behaviors like eating well, taking the right nutrition for the body, exercising, and saying affirmations are just a few things to structure a healthy system of values and beliefs. Call us at 888-777-4232. That's 888-777-4232. And visit us at MaryJaneMack.com.
I like to old me better. I was a lot more fun. I like to old me better. Didn't take crap from anyone, but I'd sleep all day, party all night, did whatever I wanted, whatever I liked. You made me a brand new man, but I like to old me better.
I'm loving Benny's selection.
Nice. Good job. Good job. Hey, for those of you who want to find out more about Chip, go to the website chipjustice.com. Find out more about Chip and many of the things he is up to for sure. I know that we're talking about technology, but we're also talking about people. And during the break, you and I were talking about some of the people that you're dedicated to help in the world, and for a very good reason. And I wanted to, make sure that folks know that every segment of every hour of radio we do, you dedicate this last segment for a very specific salute to our veterans who have served. Let's talk about that for a minute, if we could, and why that is important to you, Chip, and what the stories are that you're hearing.
Yeah, great.
Right
Thanks, Pat.
Mm-hmm.
So this might be a reminder for some, but I never say it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Every day in this country, we have 22 of my brother and sister veterans commit suicide every single day. And I've had the pleasure of meeting some of these fine veterans that have given not quite their life, but they've given everything else. And when I say that, I'm also talking about not just with their body and body parts, but I'm also talking about their mind. I had I was at this one luncheon at the the Bethesda Hospital, Naval Hospital in Bethesda. There we go. I knew I'd get that out. And I got to meet a young man who had a major incident with an IED and a firefight. And when I say firefight, this fire wasn't a fight with bullets, but with an actual fire. The young man lost an arm, a leg, and he had severe burns all over his body and his face. I was amazed, and I think so was he, that he even lived. And we were at this breakfast one day where I go with several other former Marines and other military veterans, and we talk about careers and how we help one another and we support one another, and we help with resume writing and a whole host of other stuff. And you can go, there's several websites out there. You can find it, some of them through chipjustice.com. You can, the Marine Executive Association.com is another one, and standbesideThem.org is another one. But we got to meet, or I got to talk to this young man, and he looks up at me after a half hour, 45 minutes, and he says, just point blank, who's going to hire me? And, I couldn't answer him with what was in my head, because my head said, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
And if I gave that very answer, I think I would take away some hope. But maybe, again, he was also looking for that answer to solidify that he was worse off than having hope, which is one thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't allow. And there's a reason why we have so many veterans commit suicide every day. It's because they've lost hope. So when you see a veteran, especially one that has given something more of themselves, please let them know. Please tell them thank you for their service. Thank them for being who they are. I mean, we serve the populace. We serve the populace. We serve our nation. We are not looking for someone to tell us that hey, you did a great job. But what you're doing by saying something is that you, as a person, care about another person. And if you want to send a bright message to someone, let them know you care. Because that's really what we're all scared. We are all worried about the future. We're all worried about the risks that we're going to take. And we need to feel safe and understand what that means to feel safe. But it starts by you reaching out and telling someone, thank you.
Yeah. And what's interesting about it, this has nothing to do with how you feel about war or how you feel about politics. That is not what we're doing. We're actually talking about, transcending all of that to remembering that we're talking about human beings, human beings that have been put here on this earth for whatever reason that is theirs to serve, and acknowledgement and recognition that they are not part of the invisible army now. They're not part of the invisible army now, that we actually can, show up with compassion and in service and in help. And I think that's what I hear you saying, each time we have, we do a show together, there's a segment that you dedicate to this so that we do remember, right?
And I'd like to tie this all back in, because now I think that we can, after we're talking about the whole show, we can realize that there is a even deeper message here. And that's, as we move forward in time, we have these veterans today that have these prosthetic arms and prosthetic legs, and we have people who are getting new hearts, whether those are artificial hearts or real hearts, and so many other body parts. The person of the future is going to have mechanical parts. We as a human race are going to evolve, and you used the word transcend earlier. We are growing into this new evolution of people. We are saying goodbye to Homo sapien and hello to Homo evolutus, because tomorrow's person is going to be greatly integrated with technology.
Well, thank you, so much for all that you do, Chip, and, thank you for taking this message out there into the world. I wanted to ask you about, what is the message we can leave people with? What are some of the tips? What have you discovered along the way in figuring out how we can show up empowered regardless of who the boss is?
Yeah, thanks for asking, because really that is, in essence, today's show. You are the boss. You're the one that controls your destiny. Take the risk. Ask questions. Never stop asking questions. Ask why. Learn. Have a desire to become a better human, a better person, by understanding not just yourself, but understanding those around you and how you can help them, how you can be a better person in today's society when we have so many people on the far left and the far right crying these things that really aren't true. We just want to all be humans that are safe with a little bit of risk and a lot of fun in between.
I love it. Chip, give out your new website.
ChipJustice.com. All things Chip Justice. 703-309-4976. Look forward to it.
Yeah, and they can find out more about the Institute there as well.
Absolutely.
What a great honor and a pleasure to be chatting with you today. Wow. Amazing. I want to thank everybody out there for tuning us in and turning us on. We want to thank you for doing what you do. And yes, the person that won this amazing 1-hour session with Chip, you'll be hearing from Chip momentarily, probably later on today. Thank you all so very, very much. Make yourselves a super fabulous day. We'll see you next time.
Thanks all. Have a good day.
Yes.